I am now going to invite you to close your eyes as we take a trip back to May 2003. And yes, if you're operating a vehicle, this won't take long. Just close your eyes. Everything will be fine.
Cruise control.
Cruise control. Just please, for the sake of the ambiance, respect the exercise. We're going back to May 2003. It's a great day. It's Friday night. They're still doing movies still come out on Fridays at this point. So no Thursday or Wednesday garbage that we get today that we're lucky enough to have today. But you have been waiting for this day for a long time. Well, for 4 years. You see, you're about to see a sequel to a movie you saw in 1999, a real game changer. You love action movies and you love seeing movies in tight black leather. And you like seeing what the heroes and their bald mentor have coming next. I'm not talking about X2 X2 X-Men United. Not The Last Stand.
Not The Last Stand.
Oh, Freudian slip.
But no,
there.
I'm not talking about X2 either. I'm talking about Matrix Reloaded.
Welcome to Three Films and a Podcast, the show where Destiny brought together three friends to enhance each other's cinematic journey by watching three new movies in a series of themed rounds. There is no claim of ownership on any film footage used in this episode, as all film footage is owned in its entirety by the copyright holders. And just like every car in Too Fast, Too Furious, this podcast contains spoilers. Enjoy.
Can I open my eyes yet, Matt?
Oh, yes. Come back.
Oh,
Come back
okay.
around.
Oh, we're back. Okay, cool.
Someday I would like Matt to not give you permission and just you do a whole episode
No,
with your
this
eyes
is-
closed.
Oh,
Not
man.
yet, Tyler.
That'll be a tough
So
episode.
you X-Men nerds out there, not this movie. This is for the other nerds. This is for the more sophisticated nerds.
Yeah.
The nerd scene in 1999 and the early 2000s was weird, man. Like just like gothic nightclub nerd scene, hacking the mainframe, all
Leather
that.
dusters. Give me all of it. These little glasses. We talked about it last week with the Matrix, but Morpheus's little pinch glasses.
Yeah.
With none of the ear rest things. Like, oh, what a time.
Lawrence Fishburne just had the smile knowingly down to a T.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just like you have no idea what you're about to see. I remember being where you were, and just like, anyway, it's great stuff. Tonight we're talking all things Matrix Reloaded, and as always, we are here with Tyler, Beck in
That's
Salt
me.
Lake City.
That's me. That's where I am. I'm here. I'm excited. Let's talk about this wonderfully disappointing movie. Not to
Also,
tip
in
my
Salt
hand
Lake,
too much.
also in Salt Lake City, we've got Ben Lawhorn,
Hello.
and not in Salt Lake City, down in the city of trees.
That's
You've
right.
got yours truly, Matt Weiler, the only city of trees.
The only one.
If we make it big enough, I think you actually will push Pleasant Grove into being the city of trees. That's my
Yeah.
goal. That's the only reason I want this podcast to succeed is for you to spread your. Well, I was gonna
Spread
say
the
spread
seed.
your seed, but I was thinking like Johnny Appleseed and trees. You know what I mean? But
Hey, multiply and
I realize-
replenish, man.
No need to spread the seed, Tyler, because it already is the city of trees.
that's right.
No, by no effort of my own, it already is.
We should there be a
and-
Matt Weiler Day. Maybe that's when we'll have reached it. Once they give
That's
you a key
right.
to the city of trees.
And I need to open up a local shop here with like t-shirts and merchandise and just like really, really push it.
A lemonade stand on the corner
People-
of your house. Just
People stop here to get their city of trees swag. We are Three Films and a Podcast. We're three folks challenging each other and all of you to watch movies you've never seen before. You are part of the movie club. And so welcome. You can find us anywhere you can find pods. And we're on social media at Three Films Pod. Today we're flying the ship without a guest. But remember, we would love to have you on with us. So make sure you reach out when you see our posts. We every once in a while we'll post schedule openings fairly frequently. We get filled up, but we try to do it on a regular basis. So
Mhm.
if you see us post one of those, reach out. We'll try to get you in. It doesn't always work out, but We always do love having you on with us.
Also, if you sign up for a show that's way in the future, just keep it on your calendar. We're coming for you. We'll be in touch. If you don't hear from us for a while, it's okay. We haven't forgotten about you. We'll plug you back in the mainframe or wherever, and we'll
get you back.
We'll make sure
we'll get you back in. Our trilogies round was one of our most popular rounds. And so we decided to do a second trilogies round. We already kicked it off with our Matrix episode that we did last time. And now we're just moving along into the trilogy. We are on our second episode for this trilogies round with Matrix Reloaded. And this might have been the first R-rated movie I saw in the theater. Dang. I was not of age at the time, so I imagine I probably bought a ticket to X2, X-Men United, and me and my brother Dan, shout out Dan.
Hey Dan.
Thanks for listening, Dan.
Classic Dan move.
Dan, I just wanted to let you know you were top 6 Weilers for me. Just put that out there. Top 7.
Which means that that's probably 5 or 6 above me. So
lock it in.
Yeah, it was a good time. Good time to be a teenager. This was an easy movie to get into and not feel too bad about, because kind of like we talked about with Blade, this kind of fits in that realm of like PG-14. This isn't a super R-rated movie by any stretch. I didn't know
it was R-rated until literally this moment. So yeah,
it's very, very tame. By today's standards, it probably wouldn't have been, unless I don't know. There maybe were 2 F words muttered in there somewhere.
I don't even remember where they were. If there was
the Neo screen. When you say with all those screens and all those different versions of Neos are like yelling things, I'm sure there's something peppered in there.
Oh yeah, there was one in there. Yeah,
maybe that was the one. But this is pretty like tame.
Neo, the one.
Hey.
Wow.
The one.
Wow. That gave me pause.
Because Neo's the one. I get it.
He is. Or is he? I don't know.
Oh.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, is he? I mean, you just changed the whole trajectory of the podcast. Maybe that's the discussion here. Like, let's wipe the slate, and let's just is he?
Well, we can't talk about it because it's a spoiler for the latest Matrix that just came out.
Oh,
it's a big part of that plot. I mean, I guess you can.
I've not seen that one, but also you can just come back next week when we talk about Revolutions. Maybe we can answer it there.
Or is it like the Oracle where it doesn't matter that we've watched it because,
Yeah, it's hard to say.
I don't know. Yeah. What do you think? Put in the comments. If you're listening to this right now, what do you think? We'll wait.
We need to, we'll sit right here quietly until the episode releases, is published on YouTube, garners views and comments. We'll sit right here and wait.
Okay. Well, I'll move into my thoughts right now. Like, this movie to me wasn't as strong as the first. I think most people are of that. I think that's a popular thought. I don't think that's a hot take by any stretch. I remember liking this movie a lot more than I did this time around.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just because a lot of these things have been remixed over the years. There's not as much splash when you see what we're seeing now. So maybe it's just not exciting. Didn't age well in that regard. But I felt like as a sequel, the Wachowskis did a good job of having an idea of what the audiences would want in a sequel. I felt like they upped their game with the special effects. They gave more of what they, gave hints at in the first one. They, progressed powers for the main characters and they progressed powers for the villains. And so there wasn't like no one was overpowered, I should say, against one or the other.
Yeah.
And I also felt like there was a lot of like T2 in this. Terminator 2.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the treatment of Mr. Anderson was very much the way he was able to regenerate and just like always be there pursuing them in an annoying way was kind of reminded me of Terminator 2.
Totally.
But then we also get like some world building with Zion and I guess some more lore around that, which was interesting because you take what was set up in the first one and you hear about Zion, but you can't really visualize it because it's still in this sort of like gritty, goth, techie, aesthetic vibe. This one, I feel like, successfully showed what that world is like outside of that spaceship. You know, I was thrown off a little bit by the coloring. I felt like the aesthetic was very tight in the first Matrix movie with they showed a lot of restraint with the color palette, the green,
Yeah.
the popping red, and just like darker. Whereas this one kind of opened up. It was lighter, and I felt
Yeah.
like the green wasn't as intense, and then there was just a lot. It was a lot brighter and not as dialed in as the first one was.
Yeah, it had more of like a cartoonish feel to it, I felt like, in a lot of ways.
I mean, that first movie, like we kind of talked about it, and Matt, I think you're right here. I think it's just like the first movie is really good about like you're in the Matrix when you're seeing the green, and you're not, when you're not seeing that. And there was that like a little bit here, but it felt like a lot of it was either you're in Zion or you're not. Like that's kind of how we were, showing it here. It was less about like the subtle thing. Is like they're either in like literal rags, or they're in a suit. That's how you know where we're at here. I'm like, okay, got it. Like, for me, this was one of the first movies I actually saw in IMAX, like back when it was like still a big deal. I saw it with my dad in San Francisco, and it was like, I don't know, it was cool. Like there was like levels to this theater, like the way they had stacked it. Like there wasn't like the stadium seating like there was now. So super cool to go see it. I very distinctly remember the end and just like, what, and then just it cutting. I was like, okay, I guess I should have seen that this was coming, but like it still really caught me off guard. I feel like this one had a real unfair or unfair expectation on it because as we've learned, like nothing is ever going to be the Matrix again. It just can't, and so going into the second movie, you're like, oh, cool, this is going to be great. And it just like, it couldn't live up to it. That being said, I still liked it better than I thought I did. Like when I went into it, I was like, oh man, I'm excited to watch the first one. Really kind of bummed about the other two. But this one, I mean, I enjoyed it more than I remembered. I thought, some of the new members that we get, Jada Pinkett Smith, stuff like that, like the new people we get in Zion, like that's really kind of cool to see. And some like the family members from like Dozer and Tank, like, oh yeah, these people have other people in their lives that they're fighting for. Like in the first one, we just kind of got this nucleus of 8 people, basically. It's like, it's only them against everyone. It's like, oh no, I think the world expanding here was really a great move, I guess, in this movie, because it kind of made me, I think it gave people the stakes of like what's going on here. Orgy aside, all the like rave stuff was like something else, but like, I enjoyed that about it. I like this movie overall. But again, like it just had this like unfair, nothing was ever going to be the Matrix again. So I think that's why I was able to enjoy it more this time than I did the first time, because I went in with such high expectations that was like almost unfair. I feel like me personally, I did the same thing with like Guardians 2, because that's like still my favorite MCU movie. And just like, I'm sure it's fine, but it's like, it wasn't the first one, so it doesn't like hold up for me. But I think upon rewatch, just like this one, like it shows its merit. I like it.
That's so interesting. I'm more on the camp of Matt, where I remember liking this movie when it came out. I remember thinking it was really cool. I remember being way into all like the visual effects and everything. And I just did not enjoy it this time around. I think
Nice.
I think this is the second time I've seen it. I know I've seen bits and pieces that it's been on cable here and there, you know what I mean? Or like sometimes you'll go places and they're playing movies in the background, like bars or restaurants or whatever. It's been on there. But this is the first time since the first time I saw it where I sat down and watched it front to back. And I was just so bummed. I was really looking forward to watching the second and third movies here, because I'd seen the original Matrix. I don't even not hundreds. That's shame on me for being hyperbolic here, but
Thousands.
I've seen it a number of times,
Yeah.
if not 1,000 times, yeah. And I love that. I just fucking love the Matrix. And you're right, Ben. Like nothing can ever live up to that first movie. But it was interesting for me to look back on it, as a wise old man and recognize all the flaws it had, because I agree with what Matt said, where it seemed like the Wachowskis tried to double down on everything they thought that we liked from the first one. And they certainly did that. Like Agent Smith was my pick for Apollonia in the last episode as my favorite character. And we get a shit ton of Agent Smith here. but it's like this weird, it's like this campy, shitty version of Agent Smith. It wasn't that like cool Terminator version. To me, he was like, it was like it was like an Agent Smith impersonator, which I guess is fine, but it just didn't land for me. And there's a lot of him. You were going to say something, Matt.
Well, I just wanted to comment on that. I feel like, so I remembered those Agent Smith fight scenes from the first time I saw it, and I remember loving those fight scenes just because it was fresh.
Yeah.
We hadn't seen anything like it before. And I think that that's one of the things that because of what happened with cinema and action sequences and things that we've seen in the MCU and like all these other movies, that scene is not as exciting anymore. And since it's a bunch of Agent Smiths, it almost just feels like cheap. It feels like vanilla compared to like what we're now used to. And so in that regard, even though like it's still like cool, but like it didn't hold up super well in that regard. Whereas like now we're just like spoiled with so much better action sequences than that. Even though for that time in 2003, when we saw it the first time, like that was like super awesome.
Yeah. It's funny you guys mentioned this because for me, maybe we'll talk about it next week, but like for Revolutions, I had that same thought. I didn't really think about it here, but I was like, oh, Matrix Revolutions is like Finding Dory. It's like like Dory was cool in Finding Nemo because we only got a little bit of her, but they did a whole movie about her. It's like, this is not what we wanted. Like we like it in doses. And that's how I felt about Agent Smith. And like, he was like so awesome in the first movie because he was so menacing. But by the time we see the second one and then get to the third one, it's just like, okay, so there's a bunch of him, but like it doesn't have the same gravity, I guess. You know what I mean? It's like if there was 100 Thanoses, and like, yeah, all right. It's like I think it's more impactful if there's one. You know
what we really need is for Warner Brothers to come out with a prequel just called Smith, where it's all about Agent Smith.
I'd be into it because, like, you know, having said that, I didn't like this version of Agent Smith, and recognizing that, like, I do think while it's still my favorite part of the movie, having said I don't like this version, I still love the Agent Smith Neo relationship, and I love the fights they have, and I still love those fight scenes with all the Agent Smiths. But you're right, it does seem cheap now, and I just feel like the Wachowskis doubled down on a lot of things, but they didn't necessarily double down on what I would consider the right things. And Lord knows I'm just some dumb guy sitting in his living room, but I felt like the things that we liked the most about The Matrix were obviously all the things we hadn't seen before. And I don't specifically just mean all the things like CGI or effects wise. I don't mean just that. I mean, like, we loved the mystery of like, what is the story trying to do? Like, what are the philosophical concepts we're wrestling with here? What does it mean to be in reality or whatever? And the whole time you're watching The Matrix, even now, you're always playing catch up. You're constantly trying to remember, like, oh, wait, what does this mean? What does that mean? What is this place? Wait, they're in the Matrix or out of the Matrix? What does that even mean? You know what I mean? Like, they're batteries for robots. Like, what? Like, you're playing catch up the whole time. And it's everything you've seen is something you're trying to figure out or that you've never seen before. And in the next movie, they thought, okay, we're going to give them a bunch of stuff they've never seen before because we can do so much more stuff with the computer. We can make all these Agent Smiths. We can do way more stuff to the Nebuchadnezzar and the way that it looks, you know, and the way that it flies around. And we can do all that stuff. But that wasn't what we meant, right? By like, give us more of what we've never seen before. It wasn't like specifically just give us more of the CGI. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like they just doubled down on the wrong things. And having said that, I still love the Agent Smith's fights and all the Agent Smiths. I still think that's cool. But I just was like, I just wish, I don't want to see the politics in Zion. You know what I mean? I don't need to see council meetings. I don't need to see whatever. I just want The Matrix. So I guess I'll just go watch The Matrix. And, you know, I still have fun watching the movie. I kind of watched it in chunks, but overall, I was just like, it's just a bummer. Like, all the action sequences are cool and everything, but I don't know. I just don't love it. Oh, and about the color, I think we talked about this a little bit, but yeah, I think this one definitely everything felt more cartoonish. You know what I mean? Like, you're right, Matt. Everything was brighter. Morpheus was doing like extra Morpheus. Everyone was doing a little bit extra on the characters. And like, we loved Morpheus because he was able to walk that line between like corny and cool. You know, like the stuff he's saying is objectively corny. He looks weird, like he looks silly. He shouldn't be so
Yeah.
fucking cool, but he is. And then the second one, I just felt like they just leaned into all the wrong stuff. It's like, oh, they like when Morpheus talks funny, but it's like, no, we just like Morpheus. Just give us Morpheus again.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, I feel like speaking to like maybe leaning into, I felt like with the philosophical stuff they did, I feel like they tried to go a layer deeper.
Totally.
Like they
You're
bring in
right.
like that white
You're right.
room, and they bring in like sort of the God character or the Big Brother character,
Yeah.
depending on which way you want to look at him. You know, that's fine, but sometimes like I don't know if that helped or hurt it, because sometimes it was cool to have like that reality question, and
Yeah.
to have
Yeah.
some of that stuff is better a mystery, some of that stuff is better to like be left wondering, but like you're adding these characters and these dynamics in there that all of a sudden, now that I know that there's this there, now it's not as cool to me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
I felt like
I can
Star
see
Wars
that.
did a good job of like having some restraint with that in some regard, because like you have that big splash with Vader being like, Luke, I'm your father, and like that's crazy. Like, how is that possible? And then they kind of do it again in Return of the Jedi with Leia being a sibling, and then we're like begging them not to do it again. And then in that last Star Wars movie, they're like, oh, by the way, Rey is also a child of, you know, another family member.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes it's just better to not go another
Yeah.
layer deeper. You know, it's fine. I feel like they worked it out, and they fit it into what they were trying to cook up here. I just
Right.
found myself being less interested as time went on in all of that.
Yeah.
And kind of what you said, like politics and Zion, like I don't care that they're in this meeting and they're getting angry at each other.
Yeah.
And like we've made this argument before. I think I can't remember which episode. It's probably come up a few times, but just like pick a lane, right? Like just like if you're gonna make us do like Reloaded and Revolutions are essentially just one long movie, right? Like
Mhm.
with the way it cuts at the end of Reloaded. So if you're gonna do that to us, just make Reloaded like 45 minutes shorter. Just give us a tight 90 minutes of either like new philosophical stuff with the architect and all this stuff, or just give us all Zion. It would have been kind of cool actually to just go to all Zion and
Oh,
just show us
that's the prequel Warner Brothers is gonna do.
totally. But
Yeah, Matt, I mean, you made the point. I'm not trying to reiterate it, but it's like the Senate meetings and the prequels and stuff. It's like we don't necessarily need all this stuff in Zion. And it was weird to me because like Morpheus was such a powerful character in the first movie, and then in the second movie, it's just like this guy's a dumbass. Like it's what everyone thinks about him. It's like, oh, this guy's
Yeah, he's
fucking
just like
crazy.
the dumb-
it's like
the
no
dumb
one-
cop or something. Like
yeah, exactly. It's like the one person who kind of knows who the bad guy is. Where it's like, oh, it can't be that person. You know what I mean? But it's like this one detective who's like, I think this is what it is. And it just like, for me, it kind of undercut Morpheus's power, I guess, maybe on screen. I don't know. I don't know that I have like a solution or anything, but I just didn't love how they came across. I understood it for some of the beats because, you know, then we get like Jada Pinkett Smith's character, who I just keep not referring to by the name.
Niobe?
Yep, that one.
Keep her name out.
Oh, I'm glad someone did it.
I felt horrible doing it.
That was perfect.
I loved it.
That was perfect.
I wanted you to go all in. I wanted that to be your first ever F word. I mean, you might have said one before. I've never heard it. I wanted
Sorry,
you to have to
Dad.
apologize to Steve.
I'm sorry, Dad.
Capital. Sorry. Yeah. It was cool to see because it's like, you know, I'll go with him, you know, so like we understood why some of these people are just like, no, I if he believes, I believe him. But for some reason, going to Zion and just everyone just like treating him like he was the crazy uncle or something. It's like, oh, it's kind of strange. Like, I don't like seeing this side of him.
I mean,
like, I don't know what the solution is, but just like maybe bummed me out on Morpheus a little bit. It's like, oh,
I don't disagree with you at all. And I think you're right. But it's kind of like, I mean, if we have a large population of people, if someone were to be saying Morpheus type stuff, we'd probably all look at him like, all right, Morpheus. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah, for sure.
It's funny that it bummed you out because to me I guess it humanized him in a way that I guess maybe it didn't sit right with you. You know what I mean? Because to me it was like, okay, like Matt said, we see Zion and we kind of realize the stakes, and it's like, oh yeah, Morpheus is just one guy trying to do his best for all these people. He happens to be this zealot that believes in this prophecy, and he's well respected enough that they're going to let him do all his prophecy stuff and go find the one while they stay down here and have Senate meetings and fortified defenses for the machines coming. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you, because it definitely changed how you see the character. He does have that one moment where he does the speech and everyone's pretty stoked on him.
I remember that for 100 years they have sent their armies to destroy us. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here!
He goes up shirtless and talks to the crowd and hypes them all up.
Yeah,
so
that's pretty
that was cool.
They do give him that. Like,
yeah.
But you're right. They send him off. It makes you think of like trying to do yard work with kids or something. I don't like just like, hey, I really need you to go count all the rocks in the garden. It's really important. So you go do that. Yeah. We're going to work on this stuff.
Find your favorite rock. Find us the one rock.
The one rock. We need to see all of them. So make sure you look at every rock. It's like, get out of here, dude. Like, if you want to go find the one, great. Leave us alone.
That's funny.
A tip for you, Matt. Next time you guys are doing yard work.
Oh, it's a great idea. Yeah, get my Morpheuses out there.
Parenting tips from the two guys on the pod that don't have kids.
Come to us for the parenting corner with Tyler and Ben.
I wish, like, I agree that Morpheus felt like a little depowered, just like his like stature just felt like a little bit deflated. Mm-hmm. And I wish that had been like a little bit more explored and in like comparison to Neo, who's like surging and like growing and in importance and in power and stature. It would have been cool to see like them play into that dynamic where it's like, oh, actually almost like a Bucky Barnes, Steve Rogers thing from Captain America, where it's like, I'm Captain America.
Yeah.
You used to be the cool guy. I'm the cool guy now.
Yes. I am the Captain America.
Yeah.
Look at me.
No, I just want to see that in a movie.
Well, we have a professional editor on staff. We'll have him edit this instead of the intern.
Make it so.
I am the Captain America now. So the elevator pitch is where you are stuck on an elevator with somebody who has not seen this movie before. You happen to be watching this on your phone and you're trying to get them to watch it, because here in Movie Club, we share movies. We don't turn anybody away from them. We actually just try to show them the scene that would get them to hopefully watch the rest of the movie.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
And so, Ben, if you had someone in the elevator, what scene are you showing them?
I'm going with Neo versus the Merovingian, who is like, they refer to him later as like the Frenchman. He's kind of like the guy behind the scenes thing, like
I still,
broker.
To this moment, have no idea what or who he is or does or any. I'm like, oh, it's a guy they fight. He seems powerful. I don't know. It would be funny have no idea.
If I made this up and it's not even in the movie, you'd be like, yeah, I don't know. Might not be in this movie at all.
He got me again. Wow, Horn.
It's after they go to the whatever dinner thing, and is it Monica Bellucci and I forget who plays the Merovingian, but anyways, yeah, they go there. And then there's that bathroom scene where Persephone, played by Monica Bellucci, is like, I can take you there, but you got to let me kiss Neo. It was just like, It was really cool to see Trinity like mad. You know what I mean? She was like fucking like super uncomfortable. She's
like, Neo, you don't have to deal. He's like, yes, I do.
Yeah. It's just like, I mean, everyone's going to die if I don't. Like, it's weird, but like everybody's going to die if I don't do this. So that leads up to though, like where they confront him. And it's just like, it's this really cool scene where it felt a little different and unique because people were able to like, I don't know, almost like the weightlessness of them jumping around and fighting. There's like the dual staircases that kind of lead up. So people are jumping off of stuff. There's weapons on the walls because, that's what they're using as like decoration. So just really kind of a cool fight that I liked quite a bit. And it's just like really interesting to see Neo, like he's like, I'll take on all of these people. you guys go chase that one person. It's like, oh, that's kind of badass when you're just like, don't worry about the group. I can take the group. You guys go get that one person. And I think it just shows Neo at like some of his best.
Totally. It's a really fun scene. And you're right. Like, it's kind of one of the only moments in the movie where the complaint I gave isn't a complaint for me, in that, like, when he stops a bullet this time, it's like 100 bullets.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it's cool. It's like, fuck yeah. Like, yeah, that guy can stop bullets. You can't touch him. Is he just like,
exactly.
yeah, whatever. And, like, stops all those bullets. So it's like kind of the one that I guess there were moments where they gave us what we wanted, but I felt like they weren't all the right moments. I do feel like that was one of them though. That was a good one. So I feel like if I were to talk someone into watching this movie, I would just make them watch the first movie. Right? Like, when I saw, I know we're going to do this question, and I saw it on the sheet, obviously, and I'm just like, first of all, I admitted to Ben before recording, I don't really remember this movie. I watched it a week ago, but it was so unremarkable to me that I'm like, I can't really remember anything. The things I do remember are the Zion rave scene, which I think is more fun than maybe it gets credit for. I thought it was fun. I was just like, hell yeah, let's party, you know? Like, I've never, Matt, you like to party.
I love to
on
party.
record as liking to party.
When you have the stereo on at the same time as the TV, how do you control the volume on the TV?
Why do you want to listen to the TV with the stereo on?
Because I like to party.
I love to party.
You like to show things that you've never seen before. I've never seen a rave in Zion before with all these people. So I don't know, but I do remember the highway chase scene. So maybe I would just pick a point in that chase scene and show them 30-45 seconds of that, and then get off the elevator so they never have to see me again and yell at me for making them watch this movie.
It's funny because go ahead, Matt. I was gonna say, we both picked scenes that like go against what we said our complaints are about the movie, because like the highway scene is like the one time I feel like Morpheus is cool. Like, he kicks ass in the highway scene. You know what I mean?
Great.
Like, he looks beat up and just like, oh man, this guy's gonna fuck people up, you know? But like the rest of the movie, he feels like kind of just like, just a Morpheus, whatever. But in the highway chase scene, he's awesome.
I want to see the
look
look
at
on
like the cool ghost guys, like how they can like phase shift into the car and stuff. I wouldn't show that in my pitch, because that seems like a thing you'd want someone to experience in the movie. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in the highway scene.
I'm still confused about those dudes.
Yeah,
totally.
Same. No idea.
Pretty cool, but I don't know, like,
I'd love to see the face of the people in the elevator with you, Tyler, when they're asking about the movie that you have on your phone. You're like, actually, let me just show you the full movie of The Matrix here on the elevator.
The emergency stop.
We're gonna need a minute.
This will get you to want to watch Matrix Reloaded.
Schedules.
Yeah.
So mine, I'll start with an honorable mention. The first fight scene where Neo's fighting against all the Agent Smiths.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that after the fight's over, after Neo does his Superman thing, the Agent Smiths just like wander off. But it's like a closed area. It's like they have to go one way. You can't just like wander off. Like, where are you guys going?
They're just out of here.
Are you just going to go stand by the wall for a few minutes? Like, they should get in single file and get out of there. But I thought that was funny. Technology of the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one scene I remember that I knew I remembered before watching this, was the outdoors pile on Neo Agent Smith fight. I remember loving that when it first came out. I still like it. I still think it's really cool. It definitely, a lot of the CGI, especially here, doesn't hold up very well, but it is super fun. And like, that is a really fucking funny moment. I'm just kind of like looking around, start wandering off, and
all right, see ya.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I guess we'll just stay in this area. Walk into walls.
Yeah.
One thing I remember about that scene is someone had edited in the Star Wars kid into that scene.
That's right.
Oh
That's
right.
And
Star Wars kid, if you're out there cyberbullying, is not cool. I'm sorry that happened to you during that time.
Matrix.
Not seen that.
This Matrix edit makes you look awesome as shit. So
the internet was a weird time.
Yeah.
But my real elevator pitch would be the scene where they first get into the White Hall, and there's like all the Agent Smiths, and Neo and Morpheus are just like punching a ton. It's not even like really cool fights. It's just like, I swear, it's just like punch, punch, punch.
It's a
It
lot
reminds
of
me of that. Yeah, just tons of punching. But the shots are interesting, and like I've said, like I like the scenes where it's like, what the freak is this? That's kind of the scene that comes to mind. I felt like I was going to say something else. Oh, I think I accidentally called Morpheus Morbius earlier, which is funny for right now. But
It's 2 episodes in a row.
Who the hell are you, man?
I am Venom. I'm just kidding. It's Dr. Michael Morbius at your service.
Here we go.
Someone did a last episode.
Yeah. We kept calling him Dr. Michael Morbius. Thanks to Kayla.
Oh, man. So weird of a time. Anyway, It is time for us to hop in the car. We're going to a double feature, and we're going to our favorite place to see double feature, which is Adam Driver's Drive-In Double Feature.
I just had sex. I'm about to eat nachos!
He's lent it to
It
us.
is my favorite.
He's allowed us to put our own billing on it. And, you know, nowhere else has made us any offers to do that. So we're sticking with Adam Driver's.
He's a big supporter of the indie podcast scene. We appreciate that.
Big
Yeah.
supporter.
We love it.
Instrumental
Thank
to
you,
this
Adam.
podcast.
Oh, we wouldn't be nothing else to say there.
There you go. That's it.
I love that this Adam Driver thing is just a little joke that I think only we think is funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wanted to make sure that was clear between the three of us. I love it very much, and I just wonder if anyone listening to this episode is like,
I feel that way about a lot of things.
With Adam Driver, like,
I feel like there's so many things that we will do or say on here that I'm like, we're the only 3 people on the planet that think this is funny.
No one else likes this at all, but we love it.
It's our show.
That's what that's what we're here for. Whatever we love.
That's what Adam wants. He wants us to talk.
That's
about
what he
him,
would have
so.
wanted. Yeah.
The past tense. He was
In our
lying, he would've
multiverse,
done
Adam
this.
Driver died years ago.
He's been gone for a while. We were left the driving in his will, so it's kind of very nice of him to do that.
And we run the podcast in his memory.
Yeah, it's all for you.
No, but Adam has allowed us the space to pair, to show the movies that we're covering, but he's given us one stipulation. We must pair it with something that we feel it goes well with. And so we're doing our part now in taking Matrix Reloaded and pairing it with whatever we feel is a good pairing. And Tyler, I'm dying to hear what you're pairing this with.
Well, buckle up, buddy, because boy, do I have a tie-in for this week's double feature.
Hell yeah.
My tie-in is that at some point during The Matrix Reloaded, I thought to myself, I wish I was watching Inception. And so we're going to watch Inception. I don't know why. I don't know what scene it was, what moment it was, what line it was, what was going on that made me think that. Something that happens in Matrix Reloaded seemed Inception-y to me. And I just kind of thought, like, I just wish I was watching that instead. So buckle up. It's going to be like a 6-hour night. And we're going to watch. We're going to go with Reloaded first, and then we're going to end the night with Inception.
Hell yeah.
Maybe it's maybe it's the what is
it
reality.
is kind of like Inception. Yeah.
It's just, I that must have been it. I just remember thinking like, gosh, I just wish I was watching Inception instead. So that's where we're going.
Yeah.
It's the Leo factor. Yeah. For sure.
He does
100%.
lack a lot of Keanu. There's way less Keanu and way less Agent Smith in Inception, but we'll make do.
Well, if you want Keanu, let me invite you over to my double feature segue. I want to we're going to do a couple sequels back to back. We're going to do Reloaded first, and then we're going to go to John Wick 2, because that is my favorite of the John Wick trilogy. I love number 2. I think Keanu kind of like Tom Cruise, where just like the first Mission Impossible is cool, but now you see what he's doing in the 6th one. It's like, man, this is nuts. Like what he's doing. And it's kind of like this, like, I know the fighting style is different, but like the fighting's cool in the Matrix stuff. But then like what he's doing in these John Wick movies, where it's like a much more tactical hand-to-hand combat kind of thing. I guess more realistic, obviously, whatever. And yeah, I just really like John Wick 2 a lot. So that's the one that I would want people to see. So yeah, Reloaded and then John Wick 2.
That's great news for me, because I still haven't seen John Wick 2.
Have you just seen the first one?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, just number 1 for old Tyler.
Well, stay tuned next summer, folks. We're back with trilogies. We're going to do John Wick.
That'd be a fun round. So I'm going Matrix Reloaded first, and then going along with the theme of visions about your girlfriend dying, I'm going with Revenge of the Sith. We're going with Anakin's dreams.
Yep.
And we're going to let the audience decide, what's the guy to do if you're having dreams about your girlfriend dying?
Exactly.
Who was right? Neo or Anakin? Who did it better? Neo or Anakin?
It's hard to say. Yeah. I think Anakin would love the Matrix because as far as we've seen, I don't think there's any sand in there. So Anakin would be way on board. Like, get me out of here.
Hates the sand.
Hates the sand.
And some dirt, but not necessarily any sand.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in the real world, in Zion, there would be plenty of that, but he's just going to be wired in. He just wants to be like, the second
He's
life.
Cypher.
Yes, exactly.
Give me that steak. Give me the woman in the red
Give me
dress.
the steak.
Every time I see that scene, I want to eat a steak. Like, oh yeah, I get it.
They did a good job.
Plug me in, baby. Let's go to the steakhouse.
Awesome. Well, those are great lineups. So if you haven't seen Matrix Reloaded, drive on over. You're going to see some great movies. And while we're talking about movies, we've got a nice Rushmore for you guys.
What if we weren't? What if this is an hour of not talking about movies?
Since we're on the topic of movies,
since we just stumbled onto movie talk,
we've decided to do a Rushmore. Ben actually had the idea to mix it up a little bit for this, and it's a condensed Rushmore. What we're doing is we're doing Rushmore of people looking cool in sunglasses, or maybe just people wearing sunglasses. They don't need to look cool. But instead of us picking 4 each, we're picking 4 total. We're including Matrix Reloaded, and then each of us are going to pick one to fill out that Rushmore.
These are OR scrubs.
Oh, are they?
Nice.
And we are going to start with Ben. I'd love to hear your sunglasses pick.
Before I get into it, do either of you want either of these picks?
I also had 2 in mind, so I'll see what happens with your pick. I had one of your 2 is also one of my 2. So if you take it, I can use my other one. If you don't, I might use the one that we share. I'm not going to tell you which is which.
I have plans. 2. One is one that you have, Ben. The other is what Tyler has, and that he hasn't said. So whichever you 2 don't pick, I will pick for mine.
The 7 movie Rushmore. My plan was to cut all this out, but I think this all just needs to stay in. So I have 2 on here, and I think I just need to go with the more iconic one, as much as like I might like the other one more. I feel like this Rushmore, I can't risk Top Gun not being on here.
Yeah.
Those aviators became classics for a reason. So I have to go with it. I mean, it's just like caps off some of the best scenes in that movie, which I have now seen. So I don't know, a lot of, we did it, guys. Before I hit 40, I saw Top Gun.
I wish I could do the Val Kilmer chomp real well. I would chomp you so good right now.
You'd be great at it. Iceman. I mean, a lot of great glasses in this, a lot of great, sweaty dudes, and it's a great movie.
All 3 of us have rocked aviators at some point in our lives, right?
I think you have.
I mean, I know I have. I know Ben has because I've seen it. I don't know Matt well enough at that point in time, but I assume you had to have worn aviators at some point. Maybe not the reflective ones, maybe just like the shape. I don't know.
If not, please sign up for our Patreon so we can get Matt some aviators. He will wear them for our next watch party.
I will say that they would go well with your mustache. You don't always rock a mustache, but when you do, it would
if
fit
you
with
join
aviators.
Patreon today, I will film an episode wearing aviator glasses.
Oh, that would make me so happy. Please.
Today.
Do it today.
Well, so I've got another iconic brand of sunglasses that I know I had a phase wearing this style of sunglasses, and it's actually more the style that I tend to wear these days. But the Ray-Bans from Reservoir Dogs, that movie in and of itself, just like the suits and the sunglasses. I wouldn't dare to say it was the first, but it's the first one that I remembered. Like, oh, they look so fucking cool, suits and sunglasses, and doing crimes and stuff. I thought it was awesome. It's still iconic to me, and I know that movie didn't make Ray-Bans iconic, but it didn't hurt.
Not at
and I've gone through a Ray-Ban phase myself. My dad had a pair of Ray-Bans that he gave me, and I lost them. I was so sad. They were like legit, like from the day.
That's awesome.
Ray-Bans. I know. I wore them for a long time, and then I lost them. Sorry, Dad.
When you just said they're iconic to me, it made me think of that clip of the guys like the pro wrestling thing, like sitting in the bleachers, like it's still real to me, damn it.
It's real to me.
It's still iconic to me. It's real to all of us.
Those are great picks. My pick, actually, I'm going to shout out my dad, Steve. I'm going to try not to cry right now. Just kidding. I'm not crying right now.
Hi, Steve.
Did you lose his sunglasses too?
No, not like that at all. In fact, if you want to, we actually did an episode on this movie. If you want to go back and listen to it, I'm going classic with the Blues Brothers.
Nice.
You know, those two dudes look so cool in their sunglasses, and they're on a mission from God. So
yeah, they are.
They sure are. God bless them.
Check out what they're up to in the Blues Brothers, and check out that episode.
What? Yeah. So hold on, I'm trying to find what were the brand of sunglasses, because they look like Ray-Bans, kind of. Yeah, they're like Ray-Ban Wayfarers. Yeah, so nice. We've got 2 Ray-Bans on this list. Eat that, aviators.
Oh man. Like Goose over here. Jeez.
No, but that's our Rushmore, and we're throwing Matrix Reloaded on here. Is there anything that we missed talking about this movie that we want to cover before we say goodbye to the movie club?
We kind of talked about this in the first one with Kayla, but Matt, you weren't there. Do you buy like the Neo Trinity love story at all? Like, does their love story hold any like weight to you? Do you care about it, I guess is what I'm asking.
No,
I personally don't really.
I don't buy it. Yeah, I don't know if it's how it was set up.
I felt like personally they could have, if that's the route that we were going to go with it, and it looks like obviously that was always the route we were going to go with it. Like we could have leaned in a little bit harder in the first one, because it's just like at the end it's like, oh yeah, and I love you, and that's what saves the day. But it's like, at least in the other times that we see this trope, there's a little more groundwork for it. You know what I mean? And then it carries the whole second and third movie. It's like they just love each other so fucking much, but it's like, do they, or are they just like the only people they know?
Well, like, yeah, there's something that felt a little juvenile about it, something a little like middle school about it, because like the elevator door closes and they're like making out. It's like that kind of reminds me of like the infatuation that you feel as like a teenager. I could see why there would be depth there if they explored it. I didn't feel like they adequately did it all, but like, you know, Trinity helped open Neo's Ian. Ian.
Our protagonist.
That's the prequel. That's the prequel, is that they thought they found the one. It was this guy Ian, and he fucking sucked. He was an asshole to Trinity.
Trinity's first boyfriend, Ian.
He's just such a dick. He always made fun of the gruel on the ship.
Yeah, and they're in the prequel Trinity.
He cheated on Trinity with the woman in the red dress. Fuck Ian.
To all you Ians out there, like and subscribe,
please. We need some good Ians.
Neo. If your name's Ian and you join Patreon right now.
No, I felt like so Trinity like helped open Neo's eyes, like was there from the beginning, and then like, you know, Neo's apparently the key to like fulfilling this prophecy. I could see how there could be some depth to their relationship and how that could go together. I feel like all of that was skipped straight to just like physical intimacy, and then we're just supposed to buy it as an audience.
Yeah.
And like, and I mean, at a certain point, you just go along with it. Like, sure, great, that something's there's got to do something here, but I don't know.
Exactly, because I felt like to call back to Star Wars, like Anakin and Padme did it a little better because they at least had like a courting sequence. And then there's also the dynamic of it being forbidden, where it's like they're kind of not supposed to do that.
Ooh.
Whereas this one,
yeah, that's a good call.
Are you?
That would have been an easy fix if Morpheus was just like, you can't love each other. That's all it for me. That's all I would have needed to buy it, because
which is like also I think what bothers me about it, because I brought it up last week, but like Trinity has been told by the Oracle that she will fall in love with the one, and so I feel like everyone that Morpheus is picking, she's looking at them as like, oh, I gotta try it. Yeah, it's not Ian.
I gotta love this
Ian. But it's just like,
Lord knows she tried with Ian.
She tried.
She thought it was him.
It's just closed heart, But it's just like she probably tried this with other people, because we know Neo isn't the first one that Morpheus has found, and so every time she's just like maybe trying to force herself to be in love with them, and it's hard, I think, when it's just like, I'm gonna be in love, so it didn't seem natural. It seemed like forced, like she was making it happen. Not that it wasn't genuine, but it's like when you go into this, like if every person you met, you had been told at some point in your life, like one of these people you're going to be in love with. It's like, well, then everyone you meet that falls into this criterion, you're going to look at them that way. And it's just kind of like weird,
but wait, Isn't that how we go through life already? Is knowing at some point we're going to meet someone that we fall in love with?
But I feel like it's if like you were told that,
you're going to go into this. You're going to go into this room, and one of these people you'll be in love.
Well,
with.
More just like your friend Ben is going to be friends with a left-handed person, and so then like everyone you met that I knew that was left-handed, you'd be like, oh, maybe that's the person I'm supposed to fall in love with, as opposed to just like, yeah, we all hope we find someone, but it feels like there was these guidelines, like, and I think there's been like 10 people, so she's just like. I don't know. It's just kind of weird, but also just like takes everyone else out of consideration. Like, well, Morpheus doesn't think you're the one, so I can't love you. I don't know. It's just kind of weird.
Sorry, Ian.
Sorry, Ian. SOL. The one I know we weren't doing trivia, but the one that I liked a lot, the character Seraph, who is played by Colin Chow. It's the dude that Neo fights before he goes to talk to the Oracle.
That guy's pretty rad.
Dude, so cool. He's awesome. I really liked him in the third movie as well. But the role was written specifically for Jet Li, I guess. And Jet Li asked for the same amount of money as Keanu, which is like understandable. Jet Li's awesome, but like, that's hard. This is like not necessarily cameo, but it was not a huge role by any means. So they didn't give it to him. And then they offered it to Michelle Yeoh, who I think would have been awesome. Obviously we talked about Everything Everywhere. And she's amazing in that. And it would have been so cool to see her in this role, but I guess due to scheduling conflict, she couldn't do it. But, I just wanted to shout that out because I think both of those would have been really cool. But I think Colin Chow did a great job. I really enjoyed his performance.
Totally. Well, maybe they could have afforded Jet Li, but they spent like $40 million on the Agent Smith scene.
Yeah, so it took like almost a month to shoot. That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's like even further proving our point. Like you could have had, not that Jet Li would in and of himself would have saved it, but it's like, but just I don't know. You lean into something else, like I loved the Agent Smith fight, like, and I love Agent Smith, but it's like, we could have had Jet Li in this movie, probably spend 20 million less on Agent Smith and give a few million to Jet Li.
I don't know how much worse the CGI would have looked, when they're flying up in the air. It's like, they probably could have saved it.
Well, that concludes our discussion on Matrix Reloaded. Thank you everyone for joining us for it. I hope you watched it. I hope you watch Matrix Revolutions. I hope you watched the last movie. These trilogies rounds are a lot of fun. It's a lot of movies, but it's fun to see these long form storytelling unravel. But thanks for listening. We appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya.
Next question, Jeff, where are you? Right there.
Yeah. I just want to thank each and every one of y'all for all you've done to your bodies. It's still real to me, damn it. I mean, thank you.
Easy, man.
Thank y'all guys. Y'all are awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Funk, for saying what needed to be said. I don't want to see it otherwise.